to advance their lifestyle or something. The reality is, anyone who has to go through something like that would weigh it very, very seriously. And when you're talking about don't tread on me, and you're talking about keeping the government out of my backyard, we have to do the same thing to keep the government out of these very sensitive personal decisions. And that's something I'll fight to do. As far as Planned Parenthood is concerned, I have to go back to my past as well. When we were newlywed, I got married when I was very young. I've been married for 20 years. And we were too young to get married probably, but when we got married. And again, we did not have access to health care. My wife did not have access to gynecological care. And we didn't know what we were doing, frankly. And if it wasn't for the local Planned Parenthood clinic and the kindness they showed us, the kindness they showed my wife, we would have struggled, and we would have had some probably other problems that would have been very difficult for us to handle. Thankfully, we had that access and that care, and I'm proud of it. So I will fight for women's health, and I will also fight, in not this issue, but many other issues, to keep the government out of the personal decisions in our life.
A question from Jason Dragon. What would be the best system for international trade? Free trade? Trade with more tariffs? Some kind of system where trade is managed and balanced?
Well, I think that what we're getting now is this protectionism, which will result in horrific results. Now, you can say we're going to put tariffs on steel. It sounds good, it feels good, but until you realize how much of the actual economy steel makes up today, it's going to make our cars more expensive. It's going to make many things more expensive. And it may result in restrictions on our goods. Now, as someone who has worked overseas, who's dealt on international projects, I understand not just the threat of places like China, of places like India, but the opportunity, the immense opportunity for U.S. products. I tell this story all the time. In Korea and in China, in Korea they have a word for people who are young people. If you go there today, they're sprouting up. They're starting to catch up to me, or bigger. But they call that generation the milk generation. And the older generation they refer to as the water generation, because they didn't have access to the proteins and the dairies and the fuller variety of foods. Can you imagine in a place like this that has excess dairy, it has all of this strength, if we could open up some of those markets, more access to our products, if we could fight? Now, what I do think is that trade should not be trade should not be the villain, but trade should also not be on the backs of labor. And too often in the United States, trade has been done on the backs of labor. Labor has been the sacrificial lamb. The reason why they've left is because they could take advantage of labor somewhere else. So what I believe is that we need to have trade that is open but fair. And also, I also believe that Donald Trump, our president, is wrong about lots of things, and not most things. But he is right when he says that many of our free trade agreements were negotiated poorly. Now, I'm someone who was in the room on some of these negotiations. I was in the room in times where I was the only one in the room who could speak the language that the people we were with were speaking. And at the time I was new in my career, I didn't have the voice that I have now, and I couldn't say anything. Or I did say something, and they said, no, they're not really making fun of us. How dare you say that? We need people who can actually fight and negotiate on behalf of America. We need to do that. He's right about that. But to turn ourselves off to the world, to put our back to the world, and not seize the opportunities that actually exist for American companies and American workers is wrong. It will hurt us in the long run. The world is full of opportunities for American products. We just can't do it on the backs of labor.
So trade, I'll start with this. Those who we trade with, we don't bomb. As simple as that. So trade is important. However, NAFTA, CAFTA, and even in 2016, the TPP, those are trade deals that were written by corporate lawyers, written by corporation that had teeth for corporations. So it comes down to it, is we need fair trade policies that keep people in mind, labor, so they're not considered just a line item on a balance sheet. And we need trade policies that protect our workers, but then also we need to see as a community, I mentioned this before, to pivot into the future regarding renewables. And we need to make sure that we can get our products out to our allies and our neighboring countries. So this is the thing. So for an example, and this is completely legal under NAFTA, Canada has a lot of sand oil. You know, oil come from their tar pits up there and their sand pits. So basically, we have a Canadian company that is suing these United States of America because of potential lost profit because of the pipeline that was supposed to already be in. Now, how does that work? Potential profit of something that might or might not even happen. But that's because these trade policies are for wealthy multinational corporations, not us, not workers, not the working class. So I think moving forward, and yeah, I sort of want to echo, and I can't believe I'm going to say this too, but when Trump spoke about these horrible economic deals and these trade policies that don't work for us, he spoke to a lot of people, and I do agree. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here so we could rewrite this ship. And we need to put our working people at the spotlight of all economic development, just because that's how we're going to prosper into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. In closing our evening tonight, Nick has the floor for the first 5 minutes to summarize for us. Why do you feel you are the best person to represent District 27 in Washington? And why do you feel you're the most likely candidate to be able to defeat Chris Collins in the November general election?
So the why, this is it, the why. And this is why I'm running, why I got into this. Because I never got into insider politics before. It's always volunteer. Like I went to my first protest protesting George W. Bush's Iraq War in 2003. Then I got invited to be a researcher and writer for a voter guide called Young Progressive Majority. Did that for about 6 years as a volunteer. And then I was invited to sit on a fundraising organization called Generation Obama. We raised around $2 million, and then when the senator became president, we switched to Generation for Change, and then we had cultural events, how we raised our money for Kamala Harris when she ran for AG, and Jerry Brown when he got back into it. So, and then I heard a politician for the first time saying things out loud that I was thinking. And it was about the economy. Because a lot of this doesn't make sense what's happening. It's been on for a very long time, and that was Bernie Sanders. And he said, if you want change, get involved. Get involved at your local Democratic clubs, on the town level, the county level. So when the ramp up to 2016, I just started raising my hand. And then when I made the decision to move back here because of family, couldn't really put the toothpaste back in the tube, so I continued to raise my hand. And next thing I know, I'm right here in front of you. So my why is we have a broken economic system and we have a corrupt political system. The opportunity is to get big money out of politics. The opportunity is to have campaign finance reform. Be open to the fact that we need to have representatives who are running, not politicians, and there's a big difference. We need regular people running for this office. That's what it used to be. You didn't need $1 million. You didn't need to come from a legacy. And I think that's what we need to get back to is being community-minded. And For me, it's the why. It's seeing what the problems are. And for me is, just as a citizen, as a voter, that I cannot, in good conscience, vote for another politician who does not see what the problem is. And we have this opportunity. So that's my why. And that's why I have a very smart, capable team that keeps the trains on time, which is exciting. And then the second piece of the question after the why.
Why would you be,
Oh.
how would you be the best one to defeat Chris Collins?
So the best way is talking to people. Going to knocking on every single door, listening, hearing people. Because this is the thing, our conservative brothers and sisters and Republican brothers and sisters, half of them are my family. They say the same thing we do. And we have an opportunity to come together because Republicans and conservatives are asking those same questions. And they've had somebody at the helm who's supposed to be representing them. Because we're $65 million, 18th richest congressional member. I don't know about you, but I don't know what it's like to have $65 million. So I don't know who he's representing. So how we're going to do this is what I've been doing. Going through every rural town. Knocking on every door. Showing up at, like I'm a Rotarian, service above self. I believe in servant leadership. Showed up at Perry Village. There's 45 very proud, conservative Trump voters. Now I said my piece for 3 minutes, and then I hung around for the next 2 hours taking questions. Did not compromise my values or my issues. So the same thing I'm talking to you right now. And they invited me back. It's all about being genuine. It's having a moral anchor. And that's what we need. That when the doors are closed, you know your representative's going to do the right thing. That they don't need to be told what to do. Because they know what their moral compass is. So that's my why, and that's how I'm going to beat Chris Collins. It's time for a change. And our community sees it. Thank you.
So how, why, and then how? So why is I am experienced. I have done a heck of a lot in the private sector. I know what it's like to be in a room where your boss, who's a very powerful and wealthy man, says, get this done by tomorrow or you're fired. I know what it's like to be in front of a town board meeting where you have 300 angry residents who want to kill you. I know what it's like to be in front of a town board meeting when you have 300 happy residents who are proud that you're sticking up for what you believe in. I've been through it. I've done it. And it's been painful at times. I also think my background and my identity and the way I grew up, it makes me qualified. I remember, I think when you grew up the way I did and you lose your father at a young age and you struggle and you have a series of great disappointments and sadnesses, you always kind of feel that suddenly the rug's going to be pulled out from underneath you. And that makes you humble and it makes you understand the challenges the other people face and have empathy for other people. So I have a strange dichotomy where I have my background that was very humble, but I also have this experience that matches the pedigrees of anybody from Greenwich, Connecticut, or the suburbs of Manhattan. I understand how things get done, and I can use my skill set to fight for the same little boy that I was, and my brothers and sisters, and people in the same situation. Now, how are we going to do this? Well, the reality is, and I respect Mr. Stankevich for continuing his campaign. He has to do what he thinks is right. But the reality is, I am already under attack. I've been under attack since the first day I got in this campaign. I'm no lifelong party insider. I'm somebody who has butted heads with the local party numerous times. I do things differently. I have someone who's, again, representing a Republican town that's a microcosm of the 27th district, someplace where a Democratic supervisor has not been for a long time. Nonetheless, I have a record of considerable achievement. I put my record on Grand Island up against the entire history of Chris Collins. And I'm going to do that, actually. I'm going to put a list of his achievements versus my achievements. I'm proud of what we're doing, what we're getting done. And we're going to beat him by pushing back against his henchmen who come across me on a daily basis, who foil my records, who make strange phone calls to our office, who follow me around. We're going to beat him by standing up to him and being courageous for what we believe in. And we're going to beat him by having a smart team. Now, I'm somebody who only can rely on myself for so much of my life that I'm reluctant to bring other people in. I'll be honest, I like doing it myself. Because for a long time in my life, I didn't have anyone who was going to help out. But I brought in the team. I'm starting to build a team. I hired someone who worked on Bernie Sanders' campaign. He won 3 states for Bernie Sanders. He is putting together an architecture that will help us strategically understand this district and go about getting votes in an effective and smart way. He's starting to put together a fundraising plan for me so we can help get the funds we're going to have. And I'll be honest, it's going to be a challenge. I've already turned down some corporate money that I didn't think would represent us. And it was hard. It's hard to earn money for a campaign. But I'm not going to take money from people I don't believe in or people who will try to influence me in a wrong way. But we're going to do it through having a good team, a good strategy, and we're going to do it by being true to ourselves. And I'll tell you how else we're going to do it. The reality is, I'm going to need you to do it. I'm going to need your help. I know how hard it is to be out there getting signatures, being in the rain, but this is a great opportunity. If we beat Collins, the entire house of cards falls. They don't think this is touchable. But he wouldn't be after me the way he is unless he was scared. If we beat him, we can take out you know who. We can make a change in this country. We can change things quick. Now, I know people are concerned about the primary, and the primary process will play itself out. It'll do what happens. But I strongly encourage you to get involved in this campaign. I understand some people have concerns, but understand where we are in America right now. The house is burning. We can't be worrying about vacuuming the floor. We need to get together. I hope we can, in the months to come, or even sooner, we can unify. Because, as Mr. Stankevich said, to beat a man with so many millions of dollars, it isn't going to be easy. It isn't going to be easy. It's going to take 1,000,000 chops to knock that tree down. And we're going to have to get together. I know I may not be your favorite candidate. I may have flaws. I'm not a perfect candidate. But I believe that I can do this. And I believe with your support, I can certainly get it done. So hopefully I can have your support in the months and weeks to come. Thank you.
Thank you both, Nick Stankevich and Nate McMurray, for a very informative evening. Let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you all for paying attention for such a long time. I mean, that's
Thank you for being here. This is participating in our democracy. Please make sure to visit website orleansdemocrats.com frequently to stay up to date on events in the area. And we have the April 21st Orleans County Democratic Dinner coming up. See Sandy, you want to wave, Sandy? For tickets for that. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Thank you for looking so kind.